it's horrifying because ultimately, you know, you say nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change with Biden, but everything's going to change with Trump. If you think this is bad, it's...
Right. Right. No, we're really, I mean, look at, I try to, I don't talk about electoral politics on my show much anymore because it is frustrating. It is, it's like a cycle. It's just like you end up saying the same thing over and over again. And I get really tired of doing that. And to that end, but I do have to point out that I think anybody in their rational mind can see that Donald Trump is a unique threat on top of everything else. Everything else that you get that's shitty from the Democrats, right? There's a baseline of crap that we get from our two-party system, which is basically one party, two sides of the opposite of a coin. But on top of that, we see Donald Trump's march towards fascism. We see him leveraging the police state in a way that goes far above and beyond what the Democratic Party uses a police state for. They both use a police state, but Donald Trump uses it for crushing actual dissent. Like, he doesn't even want criticism. He wants to use it in order to crush the media, right? We've seen so many journalists be assaulted by this police state, and that's a product of Donald Trump's constant attack on our liberties. So, whoever anybody votes for, that's their business. But it's just clear that Donald Trump, on top of the baseline of crap that we get from both parties, Donald Trump goes above and beyond.
Yeah, I mean, this week, Donald Trump, it was leaked that DHS, Department of Homeland Security, a newer agency, the newest agency, came out of 9/11, supposedly initially was to protect our borders from terrorism. Then it became about immigrants, and the rules constantly change. Well, now they're using the technology from DHS. DHS is now spying on protesters in over a dozen cities across America with this crazy technology that monitors the borders, and then they're sharing it with other agencies like the CIA, the FBI, who don't have the authority to do that. And this is mind-boggling. This is like, using legal loopholes to break through and monitor people with like facial recognition technology while they're beating the crap out of peaceful protesters. So, I mean, Ben, where do we go from here? How, even if we do have a Democrat, and I know we don't want to talk too much about electoral, but where do we go in terms of reversing this? Because if you remember 2000, we're old enough to remember 2000, and after 9/11, the new norm was, okay, well, now we have all these, the Democrats basically took on the anti-terror platform that George W. Bush put forward. So what is the new norm after this?
Right, the new norm has to be continuing to change the mind of the people that are, of the older generations that are here now, right? We don't completely abandon them. It is a generational war. I absolutely know that we win from Gen X, younger Gen Xers down through Zoomers. A far more progressive movement is coming. I think what we have to do is to continue to change the hearts and minds. They're trying to change the hearts. Police are trying to win the hearts and minds of the people. They lost it, right? Mm-hmm. They lost it. And I think we can continue to put that wedge because it's the right wedge, right? Police are brutal. The police have been brutal all along. Black communities have been trying to tell people for generations, and now everyone can see it for themselves. So let's continue to remind people every single day exactly the nature of the police state, and then continue to show use it as a way to expose the inequities in our society. $115 billion a year. That's $315 million a day that we spend on police across this country, right? Instead of education, instead of housing, instead of Medicare for all, instead of all the things that would create the conditions that would reduce crime. Right? There's study after study that shows crime has a direct correlation with poverty. Yeah. And instead of reducing the poverty with that $115 billion a year, we criminalize crime. And so stats like that, information like that, I think it appeals to the common sense of more people than we believe. And I think that we're winning the messaging war. Continue to fight the messaging war. I know that's not as appealing as winning the presidency, but they built it. The system is built for that reason, exactly that way. That's one. Number two, stay in the streets as much as people can safely do so, right? If you can, and if you're in an environment where you can, if you have a protest, and I have to emphasize this because I'm not going into the streets. So before I say anyone go into the streets, make sure that you're going with all the protections that you can, right? Normalize mask wearing, normalize taking all the precautions that you possibly can, and normalize making sure that anyone who's not wearing a mask in your group, you know, kind of alienate them. If they're not wearing a mask, they're putting everybody at risk. So if we have all of that set, and that's a baseline, everyone is safe from COVID-19, then I think we have to continue to protest, especially when Donald Trump loses and Joe Biden gets in power. Otherwise, people will start going to brunch again, and things will go back to normal again, which is really bad for a lot of people.
Thank you for watching and listening to the Nomiki Show. Make sure to click like and subscribe on YouTube and share with everybody on social media. And of course, if you're not a patron already, please join us on patreon.com/The Nomiki Show for as low as $5 a month. That money makes a huge difference. We don't have the corporate money coming in. We're not cable news that's raking in the dough from advertisers right now as everybody's sitting at home and watching. It is really you guys who are keeping us together. So please consider being a patron. And for those of you who have already, we are incredibly grateful to you.